Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Port Angeles, on another beautiful Thursday evening. The light is so spectacular right now. Just grateful to be here in this lovely space with all of you. We open with a brand new song because we are in a brand new month. Yay! We're excited to have Joel here again this evening. The words are in your folded program. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. You'll pick it up quickly. We're going to do it 4 times. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. I am opening. 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 Great job. First time through. Sounds pretty good. We have our reading of our vision and our mission. You'll find that in the program as well. I invite you to join us if you choose. We are an open, safe, creative, and spiritual community where we experience divine love and connection every day. Our mission: through spiritual, artistic, and social gatherings, we experience and express divine love. Our intentions create ripples of compassion into the world. We have a number of announcements. We've got a lot going on this summer. This Saturday is our Women's Wisdom Group, our monthly women's group from noon until 2 p.m. I invite any women out there to come on down and join us on the second Saturday of each month and share your wisdom and sit in a space where you can be heard and not fixed. Just heard and witnessed and be in the presence of other wise women. We have a workshop Wednesday coming up next week on July 12th. The focus this time will be on health. We'll be doing a lot of interactive activities and looking at health through a new lens, through the observer lens, and also discussing what actually is this idea of health. So we're going to focus on that. That's coming up next Wednesday. Next Friday is our monthly drumming. That's from 7 to 8 p.m. or 8:30 p.m. in this room. So check that out. And then that next Saturday will be the men's group yet again. They do meet twice a month on the first and third Saturday of each month. And the big news is a big anniversary party we are having in conjunction with the interfaith community of Clallam County. We both are celebrating 1 year on the peninsula, and there'll be a potluck and live music with Joel and Ivy Ricci. And all kinds of other really cool activities. So invite your friends, take some flyers, they're in the back of the room, post them up, pass them out. We'd love to start getting some RSVPs so we know how many people to plan for. We'd love to have a big, giant party, so come on down. As always, we have a prayer request form. If there's anything that's weighing on you or something you'd like to have some extra celebration, just fill out a prayer request form and either drop it in the basket or make sure it comes to myself or Reverend Clancy at the end of our gathering, fold it, and we will hold it in the highest confidence, and we will do affirmative prayer about this request all week long. So that's another service that we offer. I invite up Shirley Grace for our opening reading, our time of silence, and a brief affirmative prayer.
Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind and Spirit, has written, "Behind all is a unity, through all is a diversity, saturating all is a divinity." And that is from Living the Science of Mind. And let us now take a moment to anchor that into our very bones. Hearing the bird's song, I am reminded of the myriad forms of spirit. As there are many, many bird songs, there are even more aspects of the one creative energy that pours itself out into infinite variety of forms, showing up as each one of us, showing up as the birds, the trees, all of nature, all that can be imagined and beyond. And knowing that God is all there is, and I am part of that, I know we are all that. And as we look upon the diversity of God's creation, we look inside and realize that not just are we part of the one, but the more we express all of the parts of ourselves, the diversity that is our beingness, the more whole we are, the more we express the one. I am so thankful to live in this universe of great diversity that is nestled in this incredible vessel of spirit. Life is so very good, so very good. And I release this knowing of our good into the law, which makes it so right here, right now. And so it is.
So it is. Our special music tonight is by Gary Lynn Floyd. It's called Love Cover Me. As time has unfolded me, it has revealed to me life's nothing less than sublime. With every thought I make, every last breath I take, may I be gracious and kind. Love, I invite you to open up this heart of mine. Love, cover me, light any darkness. Love, cover me, right every wrong. Cause me to see love over hatred. Guide me to be faithful and strong. Love, cover me. Love, cover me. Kindness wash over me. Make me a symphony, play every note you can find. Make me reverberate, gently deactivate, slowly flow out of my mind. Find me a melody, dance, and let my anthem be. Love cover me, light any darkness. Love cover me, right every wrong. Cause me to see love over hatred. Guide me to be faithful and strong. Love cover me. 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 I will not be shaken. I will not be moved. Love cover me. May my heart awaken. Tenderness be proved. Love cover me. Love cover me. Love, 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 love. Love, 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 love. Love, I invite you to open up this heart of mine. Love cover me, light every darkness. Love cover me, right every wrong. Cause me to see love over hatred. Guide me to be faithful and strong. Love cover me. Love cover me. Love cover me. Love cover me. Join me in the love. Love, 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 love. Love, 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 love. Love, 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 love. Love, 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 love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Woo! Our talk title tonight is Out of Many, One, and then semicolon, out of one, many. We'll talk about both sides of that tonight. And this quote is a perfect demonstration of the way we're going to come at this tonight. Behind all is a unity, through all is a diversity, saturating all is a divinity. So we're going to take that quote apart and focus on each section of that this evening. The saying is, a house divided against itself cannot stand. It comes from the Bible. It comes from Abraham Lincoln, who took it from the Bible during the Civil War. And that is a really apt phrase, an apt saying for our life today. A house divided against itself cannot stand. There's this sense of separation which begins to feel like isolation. When we think that we are separate from each other, then the other is the other. It is not myself. When I think that I am separate from you or someone different from me, oh, but that's not me. Well, but it is. But when we have this sense of separation, we begin to have a sense of isolation. We see sectarianism and partisanship and segregation, which inevitably seems to lead to some form of violence, whether it's violence, whether it's violence against another or violence against ourselves. When we feel this sense of separation, there's violence because our soul rebels against this idea of separation. The soul knows that's not the truth. And so it gets this sense of, that's not right, this isn't right, where we're separate and apart from each other. So there becomes this sense of dissonance or disconnect, and I forget that what happens to me happens to you, and what happens to you happens to me. That what happens to the planet is part of what happens to all of us. That what happens to the smallest of creatures happens to the largest of creatures. In our philosophy, we talk a lot about the microcosm and the macrocosm. We are a microcosm of this oneness, this powerful presence that runs through all of life. We call it by many names. I have a necklace that was given to me by a good friend of mine that contains probably 50 different holy symbols, all put together in one piece, one beautiful flow of a piece. And so this is a great representation for me of oneness. They are all different, but they're all part of the one. We are all different, and we are all part of the one. There must be an intrinsic oneness holding all of life. There is not spirit and something else. There can't be. There's not spirit and evil or spirit and the devil. There can't be. Or this divided house would not stand. The universe would fall apart if there were more than one thing holding it all together. If there were competing energies in the universe, that's physics. It just wouldn't work. So the universe works together, and we don't know about the multiverses, although people are starting to study them and theorize about them. So I don't know what physical laws work there, but I believe that even in the multiverses, if they exist, that it's still part of this oneness. Even if physical laws work differently there, if gravity is different and atoms can fall apart and mold back together differently. Who knows? I don't know. We can imagine all kinds of things. But behind everything is this unity. We get to heal our own internal sense of separation first. Often we want to charge out into the world and heal their problem, their sense of separation, their difference, their distance, their sense of not being part of. I believe that until we can do that within ourselves, it becomes more challenging to try to look outside of ourselves to heal that sense of separation. So we get to begin where we are. Last week we talked a lot about that. Start where you are. It's the same thing here. We start where we are. If I have a sense of separation within myself, if my human self and my spiritual self are battling it out every single day, there's a sense of separation within me. I'm not seeing myself as a wholeness that includes both parts. Behind all is a unity. The Buddha and Jesus and all other spiritual teachers understood that the universe has to be one to be at all. That is a quote from Ernest Holmes. The universe has to be one to be at all. Otherwise, it wouldn't be. So there's this idea of out of many, we are one, and out of the one, we have become many. We are the individualized expressions of this one that wanted to know itself more deeply. This is how we put it in our parlance. We can't possibly understand this oneness at our human level. We can't possibly get its longing to know itself differently, but that's what we talk about, that it had a longing to know itself differently, and so it created everything that is. And through each of us and all the varieties of plants and animals and planets and solar systems and universes and multiverses, it knows itself more completely, more differently, and the theory is also that as we evolve, as the universes evolve, so too does spirit. So too does this powerful presence, because it's all one. It's all one thing. We can see that in this microcosm of our own life, because as we grow, as we heal, as we discover more about the truth of who we are, we can begin to see the ripples of that out in our life. The other people that we come into contact with, our people that are the most close to us, begin to see and feel the effects of our internal work, of our healing. And even if it doesn't look like it on the surface, there's something happening underneath. Wow, they're not as reactive as they used to be. Even if they can't articulate it, even if we can't articulate it, we can know that there's something happening under the surface. And sometimes we don't notice it until we look back a year from now, 2 years from now, and we go, oh, wow, look at how different life is now. Look at how different we are now. Look at how different I am now. Through all, there is this diversity that is so rich and amazing. Ernest Holmes said, one of the first things to do is to love everybody. And if you have not done this, begin to do so at once. I love that. If you have not done it, do so at once. There is always more good than bad in people. And seeing the good tends to bring it forth. We see that in child rearing. If you focus on the bad behavior, you get more bad behavior. You kind of ignore the bad behavior, don't put as much attention on that, and focus instead on what we're doing right. Works great in relationships too. If we focus on what's right instead of what's wrong or feels wrong, we see more good, we experience more good, we embody more good. Then there's a ripple that happens from there. For change to happen, we must change. We can't expect out here to change if we are not willing to do our healing, to do our work, to dig deep and discover what's going on inside of me that is creating this sense of separation. We need diversity to survive. In biology, if there's not a diverse gene pool, there's trouble. So we need this diversity in the world to survive, to continue on. Diversity sparks innovation and creativity and jobs. There was a study done that I was reading about that said for a long time, America was not a place that invited immigrants. And then in the 1800s, around 1850s, we finally sort of broke open to invite immigrants, and there was a huge influx of immigration. Huge. And what we saw out of that, if we look at the historical records, is there was innovation, creativity, job growth, economic growth, all these things that came about because we began to welcome, at least, on the surface, welcome diversity. Now, of course, there were all kinds of problems there, and we still have those today, where we still see us and them. We demonize the other. We see them as different, and so they're wrong. We get to recognize there's a value in difference. It's not wrong, it's different. That phrase became very powerful for me when I went to an adult ADD class. I have a beloved who has ADD. And I had a problem with that for a long time. I have a very different way my brain operates. And for the first part of our marriage, I kept seeing his way as wrong and my way as right. I didn't want to see it that way, but that's how I did until I woke up. So we went to this ADD support group, adult ADD support group, and there was an evening, everybody come and who's related to, in relationship with, or friends of a person who's got ADD, and we'll talk to you about what this is about. So in that class, I got this phrase in my head, oh, he's not wrong, he's just different. And I had known that intellectually, but my body felt different when I started saying that over and over again to myself. Oh, no, his brain's just different from mine. And what a blessing! Because he's got skills and talents and gifts that I never could have. So I'm so grateful for the difference because they give balance, they give a whole another dimension to my life. If I had somebody just like me, that'd be way too much. It'd be way too much me. So the difference is phenomenal. It's wonderful. Being a part of the interfaith council, the interfaith community in this area is rich. And there are all these different spiritual groups. The Lutherans and the Methodists and the Unitarians and Unity and all these groups, and we come together. And once a month all the ministers and all the leadership of those groups come together in a meeting. And it's very powerful because we have a strong intention to honor the diversity and the power of each other's path. Now that's not my path. This isn't my path. That's not my path. It's a valid path. It's a valid path for someone else to get that sense of closeness and connection and to let go of separation with Spirit. This interfaith group in just a year has had some incredible, powerful healings happening in this community. There was a huge talk and a whole book study with a priest, a rabbi, and an imam who traveled the country. They're called the Three Amigos. And there was a book study with a book that they wrote. And each chapter focused on a different quality and looked at it through these three Abrahamic religion traditions through these different lenses. And there were practices for the people to try every week. And there were groups. There were over 200 people. It was 200? So it was 300 people between Clallam and Jefferson County that met over a series of 6-8 weeks, weekly, in this book study. And they discussed the differences in an open, safe, listening way. The interfaith community has listening circles twice a month that happen. One's at a library and one's at the Lutheran Church. The library is a great, non-religious place to go. So people come, there's a topic every month, and it's just to be listened to talk about the topic, not to try to change anybody's mind, but to listen to each other, because we forgot how to listen to each other. So we're retraining ourselves to stay open, to stay connected, to see the beauty and the diversity of our world and each other. To find a place where we can come together and meet and remember our wholeness, our oneness. And not focus on our differences, but to focus instead on this beautiful tapestry of who we are. So there's this diversity that runs through everything. We only have to look outside to see it. To think there's only one way to Spirit when this multiverse of variety, these infinite variety of things in the world, just seems kind of crazy to me. That it would create just one way to it. And yet, there are people who find such value and such connection in that particular belief. And as long as it's not forced on me, that's okay. Let's talk about what we have in common, the love. Let me see love over hatred. Saturating everything is a divinity. I am divine, you are divine, we are saturated, bathed in this divinity. Another quote from Ernest Holmes. Love is the greatest healing power in the universe and the only thing that binds people together in a community of spirit. Love is the only thing, because we are all so different. But we all have love in common. There is not one person on this planet that doesn't want to express and feel love. Even when they don't look like it. Even when everything that they're doing seems to be to the contrary. There is a hunger for connection. There's a hunger for love. Just under the surface. If we can see beyond that, What a beautiful gift. I love the synchronicities of life. Shirley brought this book this evening by Mark Nepo, The Book of Awakening. He's an incredible poet and author. And there's a little section in here that is just spot on for today. So I'm going to read to you. It's called The Way of Individuation. Far out at sea, a tuna fleet surrounded a group of dolphins swimming over a school of tuna, catching them in a gigantic net. Small, powerful speedboats circled the animals, creating a wall of sound that disoriented and terrified the dolphins, who sank down silently into the net, only the movement of their eyes showing signs of life. But when a dolphin crossed the cork line at the edge of the net, it knew it was free. It burst forward, propelled by powerful, wide tail strokes. It then dove, swimming at full speed, down and away into the dark water, only to burst from the surface in a high-bounding series of leaps. This dolphin moment reveals a recurring sequence for us as human beings. Confined against our will, or even sometimes confined with our own consent, how often have we jailed ourselves, trapped ourselves in a prison of our own making? So confined with our own consent, we go lifeless as we feel the need for space. Feeling confined, fearful, enervated, that means having no energy, not sure where the edge of the net is. This is the depressive, confusing struggle that always precedes freedom. But like these magnificent dolphins, we know the instant we are free, as an inner power overwhelms us and we are compelled with joy to explore the deep, which gives us the grace to break the surface, bounding briefly into a oneness that is hard to imagine. This whole process describes in a moment of nature what Carl Jung called the way of individuation, how a divided individual sorts through their deepest confinements in order to pursue a wholeness of being. If we have a call, it is to outlast the net so we can dive and break surface. I love that phrase, how an individual sorts through their deepest confinements in order to pursue a wholeness of being. We have to see where our nets are that are holding us down. We have to discover what prisons have we created for ourselves? What boxes are we trying to fit into? How are we trying to not express our own personal diversity, our own personal unity, our own divinity? And then there is that moment where we see the edge. We can swim free, dive deep, and then break free on the surface. We breathe, at last. Feel that sense of freedom. And then sometimes we do it all over again. There's a little thing that comes across my Facebook feed every morning that another minister shares every day. And they're always very powerful. There's a hashtag called hashtag Notes from the Universe or hashtag Mike Dooley. So I'm assuming it's Mike Dooley who writes these. And yesterday's was, contrary to popular thinking, being worthy isn't something you earn, it's something you recognize. And once you do, you won't be able to think, speak, or behave in any other way. Any other way than worthy. You won't be able to speak, think, or behave as anything other than worthy, divine, unified, diverse, holy. Thank you. We have an affirmation in our program. Through the insert, I invite you to pull it out and let's say it together. I revel in the diversity in life, and I recognize the oneness and divinity in all. That's a good one to keep on your rearview mirror. Just on a little post-it So, or next to your phone or on your phone. You know that you can put a little picture on the front of your phone so that every time you open up your phone, there's something right there. Something like that's a good reminder to have right there. So that when that person calls that maybe you didn't want to talk to, you remember. I recognize the oneness and the divinity in all. Even this person, even that telemarketer. Now I block your call. This is our time for conscious giving. If you have a tangible gift you're giving today, I invite you to put it on your heart. If you're giving an intangible gift, I invite you to do that too. I'm so grateful for the beautiful abundance of this Center for Spiritual Living, Port Angeles. I know that as we give, we receive. And after we pass this beautiful wooden bowl, we will say our conscious giving affirmation together. All right. Our conscious giving affirmation. I am open to give. I am open to receive. I am grateful to be in the flow of life through and as me. I am grateful for this abundance that we share with the center and with the wider world. Excuse me. We have a new closing song this month. It's called Song Universal. The first part, Shalom, Alleluia, once you get that, if you choose, you can just stay on that verse. And then we will fill in the rest. Just stay with the Shalom, Alleluia, be the background, be the pips. Shalom, Alleluia. Shalom, Alleluia. Shalom, Alleluia. Shalom, Alleluia. Shalom, Alleluia. Alleluia. Shalom, Alleluia. Shalom, Alleluia. I'm opening my heart to your love, my love, oh my Lord, oh my Lord. I'm opening my heart to your love, my love, oh my Lord, oh my Lord. Shalom, Alleluia. Shalom, Alleluia. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Beautiful. Thank you all for being here. I'm so deeply grateful. As always, we have tea and snacks.
If you come to get snacks, come and get snacks. You gotta show up if you wanna get snacks.
Hey! Check out all of our activities. Check out our webpage, www.cslpa.org. Thank you again.
Go Joel.
Bye.